Welcome. Okay, where do we begin? Chris, is this the fourth show or fifth show we've done together?
Could be more than that.
It could be more than that.
Could be 6 or so, yeah.
This man and I have become close friends over the last 16, maybe even 18 years now. Not only is he a terrific human being and a great painter, he's also almost like a son to me. I love him dearly.
Love you too, Jerald. It's definitely been a family here.
So I'll quit before I get to maudlin. All right, Chris, let's start by talking about the title of the show. It's called Icons. And then, Chris, would you read us the little artist statement on the wall, please?
Sure, yeah. Well, I can read you the full length statement if you want, because that's just a snippet. And that might explain a lot of things about the work and the show and how I came to the title of Icons, which really summed it up. The commonplace object has always been a launch pad for storytelling in my visual language. I have used objects as a way to portray a narrative or a curious juxtaposition. I have also used objects as a way to explore memories from my past, revisiting times that were formative and profound. The exploration of my childhood often leads me to recall the simple objects my family would collect to decorate their modest homes. Fragile ceramic figurines adorned shelves and tabletops to add beauty and character to humble surroundings. These delicate objects, simple and inexpensive, were revered and venerated, much like icons in a church. When I reconnect with these memories from my childhood, they begin to take on a new meaning as I enter my most important role in life, that of a father. I reflect on life and understand how precious it truly is. Small, insignificant experiences and objects are far more valuable than the things we often prioritize ahead of them. A shell collected on a family trip or a pair of salt and pepper shakers passed down through the family can connect us to a fleeting moment of hope and innocence that we would give anything to live once again. As I prepare to become a father, I'm also experiencing a spiritual renewal as I embrace the beauty of something greater than myself. The biggest things in life come in the smallest, most delicate packages. A ceramic figurine, hope, a fledgling bird, faith, a newborn child, love. That was the statement I'd written for the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
So
if anyone would like that statement, we can print it out for you.
Thank you, Jerald. So that kind of sums up a lot to answer your question about the title Icons, but it's just many of you have seen my work over the past several years as I've exhibited with Jerald, and a lot of the objects I would use may have images of childhood toys. There was a certain whimsy to them. And just over the past several years, I'm still doing that, but I've also looked at things in a little bit more of a deeper way, and I've reflected on things from my childhood, these figurines that I may have remembered from my family. Some of these they're things that I found that were not from my family, but I could have easily seen them decorating shelves at my parents' or my grandparents' homes. And many of them kind of have a religious feeling to them, and I almost kind of saw them as being sort of an icon, certainly the way that I could isolate it in the compositional plane. And
yeah. Well, when I look at these paintings, I hope that people will look at them in a very particular way. Don't look at them just as a salt and pepper shaker. I want to look at them. I see these little deer, but what Chris has done, how he has transformed these images into something that is very, very precious. And again, an icon. I find them to be more than the sum of what you first see.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, very much. Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I found very important even whenever I paint toys, whimsical objects, to something that might have a feeling that is a little bit more serious, like something such as this figurine with the shepherdess and the lambs, versus the playful lambs in the front gallery. There's still a certain, there's something else to it. Like, you could spend time with it, and initially you see it and you think, oh, it's something sort of simple, but I try to light it in a way and use colors to really reflect on these things to make the audience spend more time with it. And then you could think of all the symbolism involved with this playful lamb or this iridescent cat, and what could be going on with this. Is there something else behind it?
Well, for me, one of the remarkable things is when you see paintings like these cats behind me, and you see the iridescence, the way he's able to capture this. The man can paint, everybody. The man can paint.
Very patient and crazy, I guess.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your process. I think people would like to know. I know that he spends a lot of time with a magnifier on his head to be able to make these paintings. But tell us about how you go about
Sure.
the beginning, the when you start with drawing and go to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a lot of times it might, with some of these paintings that are in this room that you all can see, they might start with the object. Maybe I have found the object, or the object has found me in a way. And I realize that I want to paint it, I need to do something with it. And it might sit in my studio for a little bit, and I just sort of meditate on it and spend time with it. And then eventually I understand more about it and how to use it. And then when I get ready to do the actual painting, I'll spend some time sketching to come up with an idea, like of angle of the work, however I might want to position it, or do I want to have it where I'm looking down on the object more, looking straight at it. After that, I might set it up and take photographs so I can try different things with lighting. With many of these, there's a single light source that is above the object that is lighting it and giving it a very dramatic light, which I really enjoyed with these. It made it feel like an icon. Once I feel like I have it the way I want, there's a drawing that's done. You can see these here on this wall. I had an exhibition at Winthrop University earlier this year. They awarded me with an award as an esteemed alumni, which is quite an honor. I'm very proud of that. But it would start with so I did these works for the show at Winthrop to help illustrate some of the ideas of my process to help the students there. So you'll see a drawing, which I sort of think out how I'm going to work out the composition and placement and all of that. And then from there, I can take the drawing and make a transfer of it onto a smaller panel if I would like to do a study. So as you can see, the cat drawing on this wall, and then there's the smaller cat painting, which I make as a study. It maybe is a little...
Why the studies, Chris?
It helps me figure out what I want to do in terms of color and value. sometimes I change things when I go from the smaller painting to the large painting. I understand a bit more about the direction. The smaller painting might actually take just as long as the large painting, just because I'm experimenting with a few things, removing it, and then by the time I come to the large one, I have a bit more of an understanding of what I want to do. So that's the process, more or less.
How do you know when you're finished?
That's a difficult question. I think more and more how I know that I'm finished is the deadline is so close.
That's my fault.
Yeah. A lot of times, to any of the artists in the room, a lot of times what you have to do is work in reverse a lot of times. So say you have an exhibition planned, like with Jerald. You look at when that date is, and then you start to back up from there. Say, okay, well, they need the work on the wall at this time. The work has to be framed. The work has to be photographed. It has to be delivered. It has to be dry. So all of a sudden, you back up, and that's when you kind of realize when it's going to be finished.
Yeah, and Lauren is always upset with me because she can't find Chris. He's in the studio all the time. There is repeated iconography in this show, Chris. There's the lambs, there's the birds, the figurines. Is there a reason for this? And also tell us a little bit about where the candles come from.
Sure.
Because they're so elegant.
Thank you, Jerald. Well, I think I gravitate to certain things just based on my own personal preferences, things I like. I'm a cat person, so a lot of times there might be a cat that pops up in the work, whether it's in a figurine,
so is Reagan.
Or like in the back, there's a painting with the yarn container with a cat playing with a ball of yarn on it. The lambs that popped up earlier this year. I was looking a lot at religious artwork and becoming really interested in religious symbolism. And obviously a lamb is a big part of that. So I just spent some time looking for figurines of lambs, and I collected a variety of them. And there's like the one in the front that's a bit more playful, and some that are a little bit more serious. Which I haven't painted yet, but I will get to those. But this one with the figurine, with the shepherdess and the lambs, that's one that I said I have to have that in the show, and I want that to be a very dramatic work of art. The birds, I can elaborate more on that.
This painting, it's almost a Renaissance painting. Do you know what I mean?
In a way.
In a way?
Yeah.
And I think that it could be looked at that way. I mean, going back to the term icon.
Certainly. Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the lit candles, and then right. I want you to talk a little bit about the messenger and the protector.
Sure. So the candle paintings. Those were the last paintings I'd finished for the show, and those came about because my lovely wife, Lauren. I think my previous exhibition I had with you, I did a small series of chess pieces. They were just small paintings, and I wanted to do something else that was very small and intimate, but had a dramatic appeal to them as well. And Lauren had suggested these candles, these lit candles. I thought, oh, that's brilliant. I love that idea. So I got a set of candles and lit them and painted from the candles. But I also had a camera set up where I had taken photographs as I would blow on the flame just to see it kind of move. I even have some where the flame has been extinguished, and you have this dramatic smoke kind of billowing up from it, but I haven't painted those yet, but I have some inspiration. Those are titled Prayer. It says Prayer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I kind of looked at them almost as a prayer candle in a way, just kind of bringing a little bit more drama and spiritualism to a simple thing as a candle, kind of how I looked at it. And it's like I said in my statement, there's just so much in life now as we look around with our loved ones. People would know that you realize how fragile life is. So I just kind of looked at that as more than just a simple painting. It's almost like a lit prayer candle in a sense. So that was kind of what I was stitching into the work, but those were a lot of fun to paint. Again, working from life, but having a photo nearby just to help as a point of reference as well. Using a muted, limited palette of essentially 4 colors.
All done with 4 color.
Yeah, essentially. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's. There are 2 paintings in the show that are a little bit aberrant,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I want to talk about those: the messenger and the protector.
Mm-hmm. I had my show at Winthrop University that I think that was in February or so. Maybe it closed at the end of February. And that one I was dealing a lot with the figurines, so the paintings, the cat and the deer were in that show. And I've been thinking more about the direction of my work and where I wanted to go with things, and I've spent a lot of time sort of meditating on the future direction where I wanted, and looking at more symbolic art and religious symbolism. I found myself being really interested in sacred geometry, and I used to use things like this in my artwork years ago. Like we were talking last night, Reagan and Michelle, about a painting I did several years ago with these Morton salt containers, where I used circles and triangles to help design a composition, and it's quite interesting. So I wanted to revisit some of the ideas of geometry in art, and looking at religious art, a lot of times there's an arch. So I kept telling Lauren that I could see an arch, but I didn't know exactly how I wanted it to work out. And I had these panels that are 8 by 10 inches that are just small, and I could do some sort of study with. But it's almost square, the 10 by 8 shape. So I thought, well, let me see if I can just maybe make it into an arch in the middle. So I thought, well, I'll start with a circle. So you find the center point of the width of the panel, and I came down equal distance and made a circle, and then continued that down, and kind of had a border. And for Christmas, Lauren got me this amazing bird feeder that's outside of my studio window that me and the cats both love greatly. And there's a large variety of birds that appear. And I've taken many photographs and everything. So anyway, there was a bird I had, and I said, well, let me sketch it in, because at first it was just going to be a niche is what I was picturing, a niche, and I'd have the bird somehow positioned. I didn't know. I was just drawing this out. But when I drew it in, I still had some of the ghost image of the circle left, the bottom part of the circle, and it appeared that the bird was perched within a portal, a round window. And I was like, wow, what if it's not an arch? What if it's sort of an arch shape, and there's a window, and there's something behind the bird? So essentially, I was drawing, and I started with a circle, and the painting just took me to the next place. I was really excited about the direction, and I thought, well, maybe I can do like a dozen of these for our show, but they took quite a while longer to make than I thought. So a dozen became 6, and 4, and 3. So all I got were 2 finished.
Have a pair. Yeah.
But I kind of said, all right, well, I'm just going to do those, and then because I knew I had this object with the shepherdess that I've already mentioned, and I knew I wanted that for the show, and I had collected some of the other lamb figurines, and Lauren had mentioned the candle painting, so I said, all right, I know I want to do these other paintings. So I did these two, and I'm happy with. Anyway, back to those paintings with the birds, the protector and the messenger. There's other symbolism in them, so I was having a lot of fun doing research on symbolism of the birds within a lot of religious and spiritual beliefs based on their characteristics. For example, the cardinal, in this one here, the male cardinal is quite a protector of its family, and he will help care for the mother when she's on the nest, and also will care for the young as well. And I was looking at these different sort of characteristics of the bird, and then adding that into other little parts of in the lower right and lower left are these circle elements. And at first, I didn't know what to do with all of this, so I ended up making these circles, and I thought, what if they're like little stained glass roundels? So in the one with the cardinal, there's a rose, because I saw him as being sort of this romantic protector in a sense, and the other one in the other room with the blue jay, that bird is often associated with being a spiritual messenger whenever you would see one. So I used roundels, that's these doves, it's like the Holy Spirit coming in to deliver a message. So I was having a lot of fun planning all this stuff out. And I had other birds that I'd done research, so stay tuned. Yeah.
Well, speaking of staying tuned, what's next for you? Besides fatherhood?
Fatherhood, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So I
will not take any of your time.
No. So I
And
finished.
I want you to tell everybody he's been given a very important and wonderful honor that will happen this summer.
Sure, yeah.
So tell everybody about what you're up to.
Yeah. So this has been a wonderful year. Last year was kind of tough for me, and then this year started out great initially. I had Winthrop honor me with an award at an exhibition, which was great, and I gave a talk at the Mint Museum, and then Jerald asked me to do this show, and it's been very supportive by all you lovely people, so thank you very much. But I also had found out during this time that I was awarded a prestigious grant. It's called the Lillian Orlowski and William Freed Grant, and it is sponsored in part by the Provincetown Art Association and Museum in Provincetown, Massachusetts. So I got a nice little chunk of money that will help sustain me in the studio and produce a new body of work that will be exhibited at the Provincetown Art Museum next year sometime. So,
you're all welcome to go to the opening.
Thank you. So that's a very exciting opportunity. I have never exhibited there. It's got a huge artistic culture in that location, and I'm excited. Lauren and I can take our baby on his first art field trip, which we're excited about. So a lot of big things.
You travel so well at that age.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know.
Okay.